He's never let me down. He's faithful through generation.
All right.
Oh, my gosh.
What happened, Pastor Brian?
The pumpkin patch happened. We were getting ready. But I look even worse on camera than I thought I did.
You know, you're going to have those weird salt stains on your body from sweating so much on your T-shirt.
I just want to apologize to both people that are watching.
This is what happens here, you know, and I look like I've been out there. I'm like
you look fantastic.
I've got like a dress on.
Like you're going for a job interview.
I know. Well, let's see. I've got about 5 minutes. Let's go. Anyway, so let's talk. What do you want to start with? Do we want to start with what's coming up or want to start with sermon stuff?
Well, hey, let's talk about your message last week, because so many people talking about the message and the whole idea of how do we live in anxious times, how do we live as non-anxious people?
That's a really great way to say it, because we really are living in anxious times, at least, you know, maybe more so than I've ever lived in. You know, there have probably been other times in history. I mean, you think of like if you lived through World War II, you might be going, yeah, well, that was really anxious times. But I think that there's so much diagnosed anxiety. There's so much worry. And I went through and thought, well, I started it with the garden and that desire to be in that place of rest. And our whole life, we're trying to find the place of rest. And then, you know, talked about what Jesus said about worry. What was really, really interesting is both the worry component when Jesus said, don't worry about your life, don't worry about what you wear, and the fear component. Basically, don't worry about losing your life, which is intensely challenging. Both of those, he said, was a question of our faith. And I was like, you know, that just kind of, for me, put everything into like this perspective of what is God expecting of us? Is he expecting that we never have anxiety, that we never have fear? And I don't think that that's what he was saying. I think what he was saying is, you know, you need to learn to not remain there,
right,
and dwell in that space.
Right. Well, the focus, and you drew the message to kind of a focal point when you went to Philippians.
Yeah.
And talked about, you know, Paul giving us a rhythm for life that's focused on prayer and praise and the celebration of just blessing upon blessing. That those are the three things, those three components. So I thought that was a great way to bring what Jesus had talked about with our faith, and then what Paul talks about with a rhythm for life that involves those three things.
Well, and he starts it out with joy. And he's like, so it like linked into the whole series about how do we maintain joy in the Lord. So he starts out like that. And then he goes right into it. And, you know, you pray, don't worry. Instead, you pray about everything, like everything, pray, praise, and then think about good things. And I think it's super easy for us to immediately go to negative, worry. And so we just have to keep this in our mind. We have to train our minds and meditate on the good rather than meditate on the bad.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where Paul starts us out with our minds and the Word.
Exactly.
So that we can train ourselves up for the days when that's not the easiest thing to do. It's not our natural default.
No.
Ever, but difficult times, it's much easier to get down in that rabbit hole of.
And the truth of the matter is, when I looked out in the congregation, and I know you and I know about these people's lives. We know about the lives of the people who attend worship here and who come and talk to us. And they're going through some really challenging seasons in their life. And so we know that about them. But there's the video that I showed of Helen, I forget her name, Roosevelt or whatever. I'll have to go back and look at it. The missionary, what she went through.
Wow. Her statement about God trusting her.
Yeah. Will you thank me for trusting you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just hit me like a ton of bricks.
I know. Yeah.
Because I had not watched, you had told me about the video, but I had not watched it till we were in the services.
That's awesome.
So,
That's
yeah.
good. So you had the same effect of everyone
Oh,
else.
well, you told me, there's this video that I'm going to show. But,
Yeah.
but until you watch her
Yeah.
and how just her countenance
Yeah.
as she was describing it, you could sense the peace that passes understanding, because
Yes.
there's no way that makes any sense to anybody who's not driven by faith.
No way. Literally no way. And when she said that the presence of God, when she finally said, okay, I'm going to thank you for trusting me, and then just this presence. And I heard somebody recently say, I mean, I watched her video, but I watch a lot. There was another person who said that what they were going through, that, he said, you can get through anything. I've experienced so much, and God gives you this supernatural presence when you're in the middle of really, really difficult times. And it's really cool to hear that. So we can get through anything.
Yes.
We don't need to walk in fear or lack of faith. Anyway, I just think it's relevant to where we are, and we're moving into this Sunday.
Yes.
Which is going to be. So tell us
I'm
about that.
I'm going to be addressing where do we find that enjoy kind of living when we've failed, and what does failure look like? And so the message, you and I, it's always interesting to watch you and I process through sermons, because scriptures change.
I know it.
Titles change.
Yes. We have we're 50 to 75% there, and then we do whatever we want.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the scripture is now the entire 21st chapter of John.
Oh.
It's everything.
I love it though.
From the lakeshore encounter with breakfast and the disciples who are out fishing, and Peter putting himself there just because he's got this sense of utter failure. And how is it that Jesus brings him back from that, and what that encounter looks like? So that's what we're going to focus on is how does Jesus bring Peter back into a place where he's the rock? Because he's clearly not the rock in John 21:1.
No.
He's like, I'm going fishing.
I'm done.
I'm done with that life. I'm going to go back to the life I know. I'm going to go back to familiar and safe. And what's interesting is all the other apostles, it's almost like they go, well, if Peter, the rock, if he's not that anymore, it doesn't really matter what we do either. We'll go with you. So they all just go fishing.
I mean, doesn't that show you the impact our lives have on other people?
Yeah. So Peter's still the rock. He's just the rock in the wrong direction. He's still drawing them. They
That's
still go with
unbelievable.
him. He just puts them in a boat instead of on the path to discipleship. And how does Jesus redeem that? Because clearly when he redeems it for Peter, the rest of them follow him too. So,
I mean, I think you and I both can say we can relate to how Peter felt, you know. I mean, I know I can. And I thought, I remember the feeling of failure, and then the failure is what led me to go back to fishing, to go away from what God had called me to and just live in my own life. Literally, I knew what he was calling me to, but I felt so bad about myself for several years and lived like that. So I think this is really going to resonate with people. I think there's a lot of people who feel that.
Yeah, and I've talked a lot about my kind of epic failure 21 years into ministry that was really visible and visual, and a lot of people know about it. And I'm not going to use that as part of this message, but the reality is that we all can find ourselves in those places that we clearly don't have the ability to redeem it on our own. It is literally a supernatural, Jesus comes and gets me.
Yes, exactly. That's so good to say. Yes, because just like he did with Peter, he's like on the beach making breakfast, like waiting for him.
Yeah, he helps him remember.
Yeah.
All the way back to Luke 5. Remember how we met?
Wow.
Remember that day when you were fishing and not catching anything, and there was a boat. And Peter's just, and of course, then He jumps in the water.
Yeah.
Well, think about how it went for him last time he tried to get to Jesus in the water.
Oh, my goodness.
But Peter does it again.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about Peter.
Yes.
And the infuriating thing about Peter is like, that didn't go well for you the last time you hopped out of the boat and tried to be where Jesus was. But Peter doesn't care. He just wants to be where Jesus is. And if he fails at it again, he's still going to keep trying.
Yeah.
So...
Anyway. I'm like getting tears in my eyes again, just thinking about it. It's going to be so good. I mean, just like...
Well, the whole worship experience, it's always great for us because on Tuesdays, Asel tells us what he's thinking about for music, and that's always uplifting.
Yes.
To have somebody as talented as him thinking about music, and then, you and Sean are putting together the praise team, and what they're going to play and sing. So
the whole experience.
What a place.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of places, we've got stuff that's coming up. So you look like that because you've been working on the pumpkins, I'm assuming?
So Saturday, Laney's going to be out there with hopefully a lot of the youth, but we need all hands on deck, as many folks as possible, because I don't want to be the only one looking like this. Saturday at 9 a.m., they're going to be hopefully delivering our pumpkins, and we'll need folks for 2-3 hours to unload that semi. But we've got a lot of equipment to help us, so that's always great to have. Rhett Wilson helps us with the, front end loader. So Saturday, and then folks signing up to work the patch. We're going to need
That's what I was going to say.
Through October.
I'm going to make a note of that right now. I'm going to put this on here because what typically happens is the people who sign up to work the pumpkin patch are working the patch for like youth trying to make money for missions. However, we're opening it up this year.
Yeah, we discovered a couple of things, and Laney has really helped us. Our youth, we live in an age where so many of them have already, they're doing travel sports, or they're dancing, or they're doing something, they're plugged in at school. And even with the money they can save for trips and missions and things of that sort, they don't have the flexibility. And so we have spots that are available. So this year we're opening it up. Anybody that wants to serve, that money can be given to some other mission endeavor in the life of the church. So any group, any person that wants to raise funds can do that through the pumpkin patch.
I mean, I think it's cool. And even like if somebody says, I really can't afford to go on, like if we go to Kentucky again next year and they want to make some money here to help themselves even do something like that. So,
absolutely.
I would say hurry up and sign up.
Yeah, I think it's great. Kaylee is doing a whole bunch more with the story time. So if you're somebody that has a preschool group, or you have a group of children that would love to have story time in the patch, they're expanding the picture stations. We've got a tractor coming this year to be part of so there's going to be 2 really big picture stations. So just a lot.
It's like a very like homey Oviedo corner.
Well, John Campbell and Carl redid the lights completely.
Oh, the lights look fantastic.
So professional.
They look so good.
It's pretty phenomenal.
I told Shauna, I said, I just want to go out there right now and make a bonfire, put a bonfire out there and just sit out there and talk. I mean, it is really, really nice.
So the lights will actually be on tonight. If you want to come tonight and have supper with us starting at 5:30, Jeanette is making this, I don't know what she calls it, but it's this awesome chicken and biscuit with the cream sauce, it's really good. That's good stuff. But she's making that chicken creation tonight. So good
look,
food.
he's putting up the hours.
Oh wow, great! Thank
where's
you,
that
Damien.
sign up, Damien?
There it is.
Is that on the First Church OV? Okay, where are you going? So you go.
Right
there. Okay, right on the front page, pumpkin patch. First Church Farm.
Wow.
How cute is that? Want to volunteer? Y'all have no excuse now. Sign up right there. There you go. And then you can sign up.
Don't you love it when people make something that makes it look like you know what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like smart people that are behind the scenes doing things.
Wow,
yeah.
Look at those pastors.
So the ones that are orange, back to that page. So that's full. Okay, so the dark brown ones are the ones that are
Still
open.
available for sign up. awesome.
That's excellent.
And if you're not somebody who's tech savvy, we've made it much simpler to be a person that takes money this year. You don't have to worry about using the tablet like we did last year. So there's all sorts of, I always had anxiety about that. If I'm there by myself, what if the tablet doesn't work? That's off the grid to worry about.
Maybe I should do like one of my videos out there where I'm like talking to people, you never know. Because what I kept thinking is, when you're out there and you sign up to work the patch, then I think that we should all pray before we go out and then just ask the Holy Spirit to lead us to the people or lead the people to us, whether they have needs or need prayer or whatever it is. I think
so we had the prayer. We did the prayer box out there last year, and so we're trying to make that more of an emphasis this year, that we pray for folks that come and families show up with all sorts of things going on in their life, and so for us to be able to be a part of that.
I love that. I love the pumpkins. I know it's hard for Lainey.
It is. It's a very busy.
I know it is. Yeah.
Yeah. This church though, from the pumpkin patch to the end of the year is pretty much a sprint.
Oh, no kidding.
We've got pumpkin patch, then we're into Thanksgiving, then we're into Advent, then we're into Christmas Eve, and right through the year. And we do need to say that we've got a vote taking place
we do.
This Sunday for our church in regards to our future with the United Methodist Church. So that vote's happening for all of those who are full professing members of our church. That's at 2:00 Sunday. So we've talked about that enough. People know what it is if they've been attentive. But that's coming up on Sunday.
Well, and the doors are open at 1:00. So if you want to come in and get signed in, because you have to sign in, so it'll take a little bit of time in the beginning. And so if you don't want to deal with a big long line, there's a whole hour where you can go, because you can come in and sit down, whatever you want to do, but it'll be open an hour ahead of time.
We'll be starting right at 2. So if you're not in there by 2, then you're going to be missing something.
I also want to remind people that we do have homecoming coming up, which is the first weekend in November, right?
Always first weekend of November.
So for those who are Sunday morning people, we're only having one worship service on Sunday, and it will be at 10. Did we say 10 a.m. or 11? I don't remember what
10,
time.
It's 10.
Okay, 10 a.m. So we're going to have one worship service. So that means that the contemporary, that means the 8 o'clock, the 9:30, even the 11, everybody should come to that. However, we are still having a Saturday night worship service in the fellowship hall, which we have all the time anyway. It's just a contemporary. It's a really awesome.
Yeah, Saturday night's the dwelling. It's a whole different vibe of worship service from our Sunday morning offerings. So.
It's a really, what do I want to say? We really connect. We take the time.
It's hospitality focused.
Yes.
It's for folks that are challenged in terms of getting there on a Sunday morning, or they want something that's a lighter,
it's more casual.
Fellowship hall is more casual setting.
There's food, lots of food.
We're in a closer space. Everybody's right down on the floor, so it's a very different vibe.
But if anybody wants to go to that service, you can still go to, you can still go to worship, of course, on Sunday, but then there's the gathering after the worship service, right?
We'll have dinner on the grounds afterwards, a whole cover dish thing. We're using historic recipes from some of the recipe books that the families in our church have kept through the years. I know Christy Lang was looking at one that was 1953 or something.
Oh, yeah.
So they're using recipes from all those old cookbooks.
Listen, I follow a guy on TikTok, a couple people who they have recipes like their grandmother's recipes, and they just randomly pull out a recipe and make it. And I actually really think it's fun. I like that. So I think that's a good idea.
So I think they have Rex Clont signed up to make swamp cabbage soup. If you've never had swamp cabbage soup, that's a thing. That's an old Oviedo thing.
The word swamp. I don't know what's in it, but okay. All right. I'll try. I will literally try anything.
In Rex, we trust.
Yes, in Rex we trust. So I think that's all. That's all I have.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you tonight.
Yeah. So we've got tonight, and Saturday for pumpkin patch setup, and then Saturday night worship and Sunday. So we're around, but we'll be seeing you guys.